The monastery lay in silence, perched high on the misty mountains, where the dawn's first light fractured against tiled rooftops. The courtyard stones glistened with dew, and a chill wind whispered of storms unseen. Aaron sat motionless, his breath shallow, his heart heavy with the weight of unspoken doubt. Master Ryo stood nearby, hands folded behind his back, his gaze cutting through the morning haze like fire hidden in stillness. Aaron thought he had been walking the path with sincerity, but the words of the Master pierced like a sword. Master Ryo said, "You are not where you believe you are. Your path bends toward illusion." Aaron flinched as if struck, his chest hollowed, his thoughts unraveling. He whispered, "Then who am I, if not the one walking toward truth?" His voice trembled, not from cold but from the collapse of certainty. The silence that followed weighed heavier than mountains, pressing into his bones. The courtyard seemed to shift, the world no longer familiar. Daisuk, leaning against a wooden pillar with a faint smirk, said, "Perhaps you are nothing more than a dream chasing shadow." Aaron turned sharply, his breath unsteady, his mind grasping for anchor, but the stone ground beneath him offered none. The silence dragged on, stretching into something unbearable. Aaron felt as though the air itself pressed against his chest. He forced his gaze toward Master Ryo, whose eyes held a calm intensity that revealed nothing. "I am failing, aren't I?" Aaron whispered, but the words dissolved before they could reach the Master. Daisuk chuckled softly, his voice slicing the air. "Failing requires effort," he said. "And all I see is you drowning in your own emptiness." Shame burned through Aaron's body. He wanted to lash out, to defend himself, yet his tongue clung to silence. The silent witness, an elderly disciple seated cross-legged near the temple steps, opened his eyes slowly, his gaze unshaken by the storm unfolding before him. No word passed his lips, but his stillness seemed louder than Daisuk's jeers. Aaron turned inward, his thoughts screaming, his breath shallow. A storm had erupted within him, but the world outside remained unmoved. The wind rustled the trees, the temple bell gave a hollow chime, and the mountain stood in silent judgment. Aaron tried to steady his breathing, but his chest tightened further. His hands gripped his knees until pain crept up his arms. He said softly, "Why does every step feel heavier than the last?" Master Ryo remained still, yet his silence roared louder than thunder. Daisuk scoffed, "Because you expect the path to praise you. Enlightenment doesn't bow to tears." Aaron clenched his jaw, anger mixing with despair. The silent witness sat like a mountain, eyes reflecting no judgment, only stillness. A crow cawed above, its echo splitting the silence like a riddle unspoken. The temple bell swayed faintly, as if carried by unseen forces. Aaron's breath stuttered. His reflection stared back at him from the wet stones below, a face he no longer recognized. His heart hammered with the weight of collapse. He whispered, "If I cannot even trust myself, how can I walk this path?" The words carried into the mist, unanswered, yet reverberating like truth half-heard. Aaron's pulse thundered in his ears, drowning out the world. He felt like a child stripped of illusions, exposed before all eyes. Daisuk's voice cut sharp again. "You see, even silence mocks you. What kind of Aaron fears his own reflection?" Aaron's hands shook, his lips pressed tight, but anger erupted inside him like fire cracking stone. Master Ryo finally spoke, his voice steady, calm as an unmoved river. He said, "What you call fear is only the shadow of clinging." The words struck deeper than any insult, shaking Aaron's fragile resolve. His breath caught. He wanted to protest, yet truth gnawed at his heart. The silent witness remained unmoved, as though the storm belonged only to Aaron. Above them, the sky broke with shafts of light, cutting through mist, bathing the courtyard in surreal brilliance. Aaron felt the world tilt, as though inviting him to shatter or awaken. His body trembled, his spirit cracked, and yet something deeper stirred within. Aaron's eyes stung, vision blurring as though the world dissolved before him. His knees ached against stone, but he did not move. His heart screamed for release, yet no answer came. he whispered hoarsely. Why must the path destroy me before it frees me? Master Ryo's eyes softened for the briefest moment, though his voice remained steady. Because the walls you build must fall before you can see. The words trembled within Aaron's chest, settling like seeds in broken soil. Daisuke chuckled, but with less force now, his smirk faltering as silence pressed heavy again. The silent witness closed his eyes once more, vanishing into stillness deeper than sleep. The mountain breeze carried the rustle of pine leaves, the distant river's murmur, the bell's echo fading into endlessness. Aaron lowered his head, unable to fight the storm inside him. The world did not end, yet he felt everything crumble. In the ruin of his certainty, he found only breath and the faint spark of something unnamed. The morning bell faded, leaving a hush that felt like judgment. Aaron stared at the empty zendo and felt the floor tilt beneath his doubts. Master Ryo said, "Today your breath is your mountain, climb without steps." The words lodged like thorns, and anger stirred where humility should live. Daisuke said, "A mountain of air collapses with one laugh," and his grin scraped raw nerves. Aaron closed his eyes and met a storm of thoughts, each one begging to be true. He said, "I cannot hold them," but the wind took his voice. Master Ryo turned away, and the silence grew teeth. The silent witness watched the doorframe like it held the sky together. Aaron felt small as a grain of sand trapped in a bell jar. He said, "If I fail this breath, I fail myself." And shame rose like smoke. The bell's echo returned, thin and distant, as if from another life. Aaron settled on the cushion, spine trembling like a reed in winter water. Thoughts boiled, each memory stepping forward with hungry eyes. He said, "In, out," but the words scattered like birds at a shout. Master Ryo said, "Do not chase, let the river pass through." Daisuke's chuckle licked the walls. He said, "Rivers drown those who pretend to float." Aaron gripped his knees and felt the old ache return. The silent witness breathed so quietly, the room seemed to breathe with him. Aaron said, "If I stop resisting, I will vanish," and fear flashed sharp as ice. The bell chimed, thin, and the silence after rang louder. Master Ryo said, "You fear the death of what never was." Aaron's breath snagged, then drifted, then snagged again. Rain began, tapping the roof like 1,000 soft warnings. Aaron felt each drop as a missed promise and swallowed the sting. Master Ryo said, "Sit with the rain until it names you." Daisuke said, "It will name you mud." The door slid and a gentle presence entered like dusk light. Mira said, "You are not failing, you are noticing," and her smile steadied the air. Aaron wished to believe and feared the wish itself. He said, "Every sit empties me and leaves a louder echo." Mira said, "Echoes fade when you stop shouting back." The silent witness did not stir, yet his stillness grew larger than rain. Aaron breathed and felt the breath break, then soften, then return. Afternoon light thinned, and the floor patterns looked like maps of lost countries. Master Ryo drew a line in dust with a twig and said, "Cross without moving." Aaron stared and felt his chest tighten around an unseen knot. Daisuke said, "Another riddle to excuse failure," and tapped the beam twice. Mira said, "Listen under the riddle," and her voice fell like cloth. Aaron said, "If I cross, I betray myself, and if I do not, I betray you." Master Ryo said, "Only what clings can betray." The words sank like stones through water. The silent witness looked at nothing and made space for everything. Aaron pressed his palms together and felt the knot loosen, then grip again. He said, "I want to stop wanting," and the room held that wish as if it were a fragile bowl. Night settled early, and lanterns painted trembling circles on the floor. Aaron faced the dust line as if it were the rim of the world. He said, "I am tired of guarding a name that keeps dissolving." Master Ryo said, "Let it dissolve and see what remains." Daisuke said, "Nothing remains but the echo of trying." Mira said, "There is room beneath the trying where breath is simple." Aaron let the breath fall through him like rain through leaves. He did not cross and did not stay, and something unlatched in silence. The silent witness seemed to grow light as air and vast as a field. Aaron said, "I do not know who is breathing," and the lanterns flickered like nodding stars. The room felt wide enough to hold his breaking and his peace together. The courtyard carried the weight of dusk, every shadow stretched long and sharp. Aaron knelt before the stone lanterns, his chest burning with a fire he could not extinguish. He said, "Every lesson feels like a chain, not freedom." Master Ryo's gaze never wavered, and he said, "A chain only binds if you refuse to see through it." The words left Aaron with more ache than clarity. Daisuke laughed and said, "Chains, riddles, whispers. None of it means escape." Aaron's jaw tightened, frustration trembling in his bones. Mira stepped forward, her eyes soft but firm. She said, "You are wrestling with your own shadow, not with the teaching?" Aaron's lips parted, but no words came, only the pounding of his breath. The silent witness sat unmoving near the wooden steps, his stillness louder than the argument. The wind shifted, scattering petals across the stones like forgotten prayers. Aaron whispered, "If I fail again, I will break." Aaron's breath grew ragged, and every inhale carried the weight of failure. He said, "Why is every step heavier than the one before it?" Master Ryo spoke, "Because you cling to what you cannot hold." The words stirred the ache, but offered no comfort. Daisuke tilted his head and said, "He clings because without clinging he would vanish." Mira placed a hand lightly over her chest and said, "Vanishing is not loss, it is return." Aaron's shoulders shook, rage pressing against despair. He shouted, "How can nothing be enough?" His voice echoed off the courtyard walls, startling crows into flight. The silent witness did not blink, his stillness stretching through the chaos. Master Ryo said, "Enough does not come from holding, it comes from letting." The words dissolved into silence, leaving Aaron trembling as night crept closer. Dark clouds gathered above, the first rumble of thunder echoing across the mountains. Aaron lifted his head, eyes wild, tears streaking his cheeks. He said, "Every silence you give me feels like a wound." Master Ryo's voice remained steady. He said, "Silence reveals what words cannot heal." Daisuke smirked, his tone sharp. "Or silence hides what cannot be explained." Mira stepped closer, her presence grounding the chaos. She said, "You are listening for what matches your fear, not your truth." Aaron's breath broke into gasps, his fists clenching until his knuckles whitened. He whispered, "I am breaking." The silent witness closed his eyes, his stillness folding into the growing storm. Lightning flashed, carving stark shadows across the courtyard. Master Ryo said, "Break fully and see what remains." Rain fell in sheets, drumming on the tiled roofs, soaking robes, and turning the courtyard stones slick. Aaron sat drenched, his breath breaking into sobs. He said, "Every breath feels like drowning." Master Ryo's voice cut through the downpour. He said, "Drown fully, and the river will no longer take you." Daisuke shouted over the rain, "Or it will consume him, and there will be nothing left." Mira knelt near, her robe heavy with water, her eyes steady. She said, "The storm is only your reflection. It passes when you stop clinging." Aaron shook, his hands clawing at the wet stones. He whispered, "I cannot hold anymore." The silent witness sat soaked, yet unmoved, as though rain passed through him. Master Ryo's gaze burned steady, a beacon in the storm. Aaron's cries cracked the night like thunder. The storm softened, rain thinning into mist that rose from the stones. Aaron collapsed forward, forehead pressed to the wet ground, his breath ragged but easing. He whispered, "I cannot break further." Master Ryo stepped closer, his voice a quiet flame. He said, "It is only now you are whole." Daisuke turned away, his smirk fading under exhaustion, and muttered, "Or he has only lost." Mira placed a steady hand on Aaron's back, warmth flowing even through soaked cloth. She said, you are not lost, only beginning to see." The silent witness opened his eyes, calm and endless, as the rain's last drops fell. Aaron's breath deepened, the storm inside quieting with the storm outside. In the stillness, something new began to stir, faint but real. The courtyard dried beneath pale dawn, mist lifting to reveal broken clarity. Aaron whispered, "I survived the storm, yet I feel hollow." Master Ryo said, "Hollow is not absence, it is space." Daisuke scoffed, "Space is just emptiness painted gold." Mira said gently, "Space allows breath, and breath is life." The silent witness lifted his gaze toward the sky, serene and unshaken. Aaron touched his chest and said, "If hollow means room, then what fills it is not mine to hold." Silence grew warm, and truth flickered faintly within the cracks of despair. Aaron paced slowly, his feet heavy on damp stone. He said, "Why do I chase what cannot be caught?" Master Ryo answered, "Because you mistake shadow for substance." Daisuke muttered, "Substance is all that matters." Mira's eyes glowed calm. She said, "Substance without stillness is only noise." Aaron faltered, head bowed, as thunder rolled faintly in distance. The silent witness sat still, his presence like a mountain unmoved. Aaron whispered, "I have been chasing my reflection, not the truth." The words hung, as though waiting for release. Aaron sank to his knees, his chest hollowed by revelation. He whispered, "I never failed meditation. I failed by expecting reward." Master Ryo nodded slightly, his silence louder than thunder. Daisuke's smirk faltered as doubt crept into his eyes. Mira leaned closer, voice gentle, "The wound was your grip, not the task." Aaron trembled, as if chains fell unseen. The silent witness opened his eyes, gaze vast as sky. Aaron whispered, "I have been fighting my own cage." The courtyard exhaled with him, light breaking the gray mist. Aaron raised his head, eyes shining with fresh ache. He said, "I thought truth would save me, but it only strips me bare." Master Ryo said, "Stripped bare? Nothing can bind you." Daisuke muttered, "Or nothing will remain." Mira said, "What remains is what was always here." The silent witness' calm eyes reflected eternity. Aaron pressed palms together, breath shaking but free. He whispered, "Then all I feared losing was never mine." The air grew still, leaves unmoving, as though the world listened. Aaron rose slowly, breath steady for the first time in memory. He said, "I was never broken. I was clinging to an illusion of perfection." Master Ryo's lips curved into the faintest smile, silent approval. Daisuke turned away, his smirk erased, his silence heavy. Mira's eyes shimmered, her voice soft, "Then you have begun." The silent witness bowed his head slightly, as though the moment was whole. Aaron felt the weight lift, not by solving but by surrendering. He whispered, "I am not lost, I am here." The storm returned inside him, though the sky had cleared. Aaron stood trembling, every muscle screaming as he faced his fear. He said, "If I let go, there will be nothing left." Master Ryo replied, "Then see nothing clearly." Daisuke barked a laugh, but it faltered, brittle in the air. Mira stepped forward, her voice soft, "The nothing you fear is the peace you need." Aaron staggered, clutching his chest. His breath fractured, each inhale sharp as broken glass. He whispered, "I am afraid to dissolve." Master Ryo's gaze deepened. He said, "Dissolve, and what cannot dissolve will remain." The silent witness closed his eyes again, and the world felt quieter for it. Aaron dropped to his knees, tears spilling unchecked. His voice broke, "I cannot hold any more." The courtyard echoed, but no answer came, only silence vast as sky. And in that silence, something inside him cracked open like a seed breaking soil. Aaron collapsed fully, forehead pressed to wet stone, body shaking with surrender. He whispered, "I cannot rise, I cannot fight, I cannot be." Master Ryo stepped closer, his words low and steady. He said, At last, you are free of the one who fought. Daisuke watched, his eyes narrowing, smirk vanished into unease. Mira knelt, her hand hovering, not touching, yet her presence like fire. She said, "This breaking is your opening." Aaron sobbed, his body heaving until no sound remained. Silence held him like arms invisible, stronger than any embrace. The silent witness exhaled, his breath slow and endless. Aaron felt something loosen in his chest, a weight falling away. He whispered, "I am only breath, only moment." His voice trembled, but it carried truth. The courtyard seemed to breathe with him, the night alive with stillness. Aaron's sobs faded into still breath, his chest rising with quiet rhythm. He whispered, "There is no more fight left in me." Master Ryo said, "Good. The one who fought was never you." Daisuke whispered, almost to himself, "Then who am I, if not the one who resists?" Mira met his eyes and said, "Perhaps you are also tired of chains." Daisuke looked away, silence wrapping him. Aaron lifted his head, face streaked with tears, but his eyes clearer than before. He said, "The storm is gone, but I am still here." Master Ryo nodded, silent approval glowing faint. The silent witness opened his eyes, gaze endless as the night sky. Aaron breathed once more, each inhale lighter, freer. He said, "I do not need to become whole. I was never broken." His words carried, ringing through the stillness, marking the turning point of his path. Aaron stood, trembling but steady, each step no longer burdened. He said, "I clung to perfection as if it were salvation, but it was a cage." Master Ryo said, "Cages dissolve when you cease to guard them." Daisuke muttered, "Then why do I feel hollow, even without chains?" Mira turned to him, her eyes kind. She said, "Hollow is where light enters." Aaron smiled faintly, a fragile beginning. His chest rose, and breath came without struggle. He whispered, "I was searching everywhere but here." The silent witness shifted slightly, eyes closed, embodying stillness. The wind moved gently, brushing robes and trees, carrying the scent of earth renewed. Aaron felt a peace not grand but steady, born of collapse. He said, "The truth was never far, only hidden by my grasp." The night sky stretched, vast and clear, as if affirming his words. Aaron raised his face to the night sky, stars shimmering like silent teachers. He whispered, "The journey was never to find, but to see." Master Ryo said softly, "And now you see." Daisuke's silence deepened, his arrogance gone, his breath uncertain. Mira said, "Peace is not final, it is a practice each moment." Aaron nodded, tears soft in his eyes. He said, "Then I will walk, not toward, not away, but here." The silent witness bowed his head, his presence vast and wordless. The courtyard glowed under lantern light, every stone alive with stillness. Aaron felt no triumph, only release, as if the world itself had exhaled. He whispered, "I am not lost, I am here." And the words lingered in the night, soft as wind yet endless in their echo. Courtyard rested in stillness, washed by moonlight that silvered every stone. Aaron sat with his back straight, no longer straining but simply breathing. He whispered, "The silence no longer wounds me, it fills me." Master Ryo's eyes softened, the faintest trace of approval passing across his face. Mira said gently, "The silence has always been your companion, not your enemy." Daisuke lingered at the edge, his usual smirk absent, his gaze lowered in quiet unease. Aaron looked toward him and said, "Your doubt was my shadow, and now I thank it." Daisuke's eyes flickered, caught between pride and longing. The silent witness exhaled softly, and the sound merged with rustling pines, as if nature itself breathed in rhythm with the moment. Aaron bowed deeply, forehead brushing the stone, surrender no longer despair but reverence. The night embraced them with its vastness, a temple larger than walls. Morning light broke through the mountain clouds, golden and gentle. Aaron walked slowly through the temple garden, his bare feet brushing dew-laden grass. He said, "The world feels new, though it has not changed." Mira walked beside him, her voice soft. "You are the one who has changed, and so the world changes with you." Master Ryo followed at a distance, silent but present. Daisuke lingered behind, his hands restless, his eyes fixed on the ground. Aaron stopped near a pond, watching ripples spread across its glass surface. He said, "Every ripple vanishes, but the water remains whole." The silent witness sat on a stone nearby, unmoved, his gaze reflecting sky and water. Aaron smiled faintly, no triumph, only quiet acceptance. He whispered, "I do not need to arrive. I am already here." The pond shimmered, carrying his words into stillness. Aaron stood beneath towering pines, the wind brushing their needles like whispered prayers. He closed his eyes and said, "The storm in me has passed, but the wind remains and I welcome it." Master Ryo approached, his voice low but steady. "The wind is not your enemy, it is your teacher." Mira smiled softly, gathering pine needles in her hands. She said, "Even what falls carries beauty." Daisuke leaned against a tree, expression weary, his arrogance thinned to silence. He muttered, "I have chased so long, but I do not know for what." Aaron turned to him, eyes calm. "Perhaps it is not chasing you need, but stopping." The silent witness looked skyward, his stillness vast, embodying the truth of the words. Aaron drew a deep breath, letting the wind carry it away, his chest unburdened. He whispered, "I am whole, not by becoming, but by being." The temple bell rang, deep and resonant, carrying across the valley. Aaron bowed before it, hands folded, not as duty but as devotion. He whispered, "The bell no longer calls me to a task, it simply reminds me to be." Master Ryo said, "And being is the heart of the path." Mira smiled warmly, her eyes bright with quiet pride. Daisuke lingered at the edge of the courtyard, his face shadowed, his mouth pressed tight, as though his old defenses no longer served him. He muttered, "Perhaps I have been wrong." Aaron turned to him and said, "Wrong or right, both are chains when clung to." The silent witness sat unmoved near the steps, his presence carrying more weight than the bell itself. Aaron breathed deeply, each inhale unforced, each exhale steady. The world no longer felt like a trial, but like a companion. The day waned, and the mountain sky turned amber. Aaron walked alone through the path lined with lanterns, each one flickering like a heartbeat of the earth. He whispered, "The world no longer weighs me down, it carries me." Master Ryo followed from a distance, his steps light, his silence approving. Mira's voice called gently, "The lanterns burn because you no longer resist the dark." Daisuke leaned against the gate, his face lost between doubt and yearning, shadows flickering over him. Aaron paused, looking at him with compassion. He said, "Even your doubt belongs to the path." The silent witness sat nearby, eyes closed, as though the entire valley moved through his breath. Aaron smiled faintly, his eyes shimmering with peace. He said, "I am not chasing, I am home." The lanterns swayed, their flames bowing to the night. The valley opened before them, vast and shimmering beneath twilight. Aaron stood at the cliff's edge, his robe fluttering in the wind. He whispered, "The horizon no longer frightens me, it calls me." Master Ryo said, "The horizon is only another reflection of here." Mira smiled gently, her presence a quiet anchor. Daisuke stepped closer, hesitant, his old arrogance stripped bare. He muttered, "Perhaps I too am tired of running." Aaron turned, eyes soft. "Then rest. There is nothing to outrun." The silent witness stood unmoving, his eyes reflecting sky and earth. Aaron closed his eyes and breathed, his chest unburdened. He whispered, "I am where I belong." The wind carried his words into the endless valley. Aaron lowered himself to the ground, seated cross-legged at the cliff, breath steady. He whispered, "The path was never forward or back. It was here." Master Ryo stood behind him, his silence more radiant than words. Mira said softly, "You carry the path now, in each step, in each breath." Daisuke's eyes glistened, his posture tense, as though battling himself. He muttered, "Maybe peace was always what I feared." Aaron looked toward him, gaze steady. "Then peace waits until you are ready." The silent witness sat nearby, his presence dissolving distance, merging sky and earth into one. Aaron closed his eyes, surrendering not to loss but to fullness. The world hummed in stillness, alive in its quiet truth. Stars emerged, one by one, stitching the sky with light. Aaron opened his eyes, watching them with awe. He whispered, "Even the night is not empty." Master Ryo said, "Emptiness is fullness unrecognized." Mira leaned closer, her voice warm. "The stars only remind you of the light you already hold." Daisuke turned his face upward, silence loosening his lips. He said softly, "Perhaps I have been blind." Aaron looked at him, no judgment, only compassion. "Blindness is only refusing to open, the stars wait." The silent witness lifted his head skyward, eyes glimmering with reflected light. The valley stretched wide, as if breathing with them. Aaron inhaled deeply, no longer reaching, only receiving. He whispered, "I am part of this vastness." The night breeze whispered across the cliff, carrying pine and earth. Aaron said, "The path does not end. It continues with each breath." Master Ryo nodded, his silence steady as mountains. Mira said gently, "Every step is both ending and beginning." Daisuke exhaled deeply, his shoulders lowering as though releasing chains. He said, "I am tired, but perhaps I can rest here." Aaron turned to him, offering no answer, only presence. The silent witness closed his eyes, embodying the stillness of the night. Aaron placed his palms on the ground, feeling earth beneath him. He whispered, "I do not need to rise higher. I need only to be." The stars shimmered as though bowing to the moment, the valley alive with quiet reverence. The horizon glowed faintly, hinting at dawn beyond the night. Aaron stood, his figure framed against sky and valley. He whispered, "I am not lost. I am here." His words echoed, soft yet eternal. Master Ryo's face carried peace, his eyes proud without pride. Mira's smile glowed warm, her voice steady. "Your journey is not ending, only deepening." Daisuke bowed his head, a gesture small but heavy with meaning. He whispered, "Perhaps I too can begin again." Aaron placed a hand over his chest, his breath unshaken. He whispered once more, "Hira." The silent witness remained still, his presence vast, merging silence with dawn. The valley exhaled, and the stars slowly faded, giving way to light. The story closed not in triumph but in peace that lingered like breath itself.